Peace, everybody. Welcome to Capital Combat. Name says it all. I'm Hakeem Branch.
Rob Jarrell.
And today we are bringing you a combat mailbag. Today's question comes from one of our YouTube followers and Facebook fans. His name is Title Brown or Israel, depending on YouTube or Facebook.
Right.
Either way, thanks for writing in. He wants to know our opinions on the top 5 defensive boxers. Now, to go all the way back through history, there's a lot of great defensive fighters.
You're talking about 125 to 150 years of fighters,
Yeah.
and then guys we probably just start paying attention to in the early 1900s.
Yeah, so we're going to stick to the last 40 years. So we're going to go back to about 1975 to now.
And keep in mind, he's 32, I'm 31, so...
Yeah, this is going to be mostly contemporary people. Keep in mind, this is subjective, so it's our feelings.
So don't get in yours for who we think are the best fighters.
Right.
Best defensive fighters.
You might have different ones. Anyway, let's get into it.
We don't mind debating, so give us your thoughts.
Yeah. Throw in some ones, show us some videos. We might say, hey, that guy's pretty good. We agree with you. But here are ours. We're not going in like any ranking order because that would, you know, that's even hard to do as well. But 5 defensive fighters that we love to watch, our favorite ones that we love to watch. 5 fighters, our 5 favorite defensive fighters. Now, like I said, we're not ranking them. We're just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the first of our favorite defensive fighters is right now, currently the pound for pound #1 fighter, Floyd Mayweather Jr. Now, we've all watched him several times. We know people have a very hard time hitting him. He can easily hit you. Very good combination. He can defend with his feet. He can defend with his body using the shoulder or the high guard. He can slip punches. His defensive arsenal, he parries. He can counter with you. He can bait you out of position, cut angles. His defensive toolbox is full. So that's why Floyd Mayweather is one of our favorite defensive fighters. The next one is Bernard Hopkins.
Now, you've pretty much seen B-Hop, the Executioner, the Alien now, 50 years old. And it's not so much that he has all of the physical gifts, but the guy is very cerebral, knowing his opponent, studying his opponent, knowing how to react to his opponent. Now, yes, he has been beat, he has been hit. You've seen fights with Roy Jones, you've seen fights with Kovalev, you've seen fights with Jermaine Taylor. But the guy knows, he doesn't waste movement. Right. He makes the right subtle moves. He has pretty good head movement, but he knows his defense is tied to timing and knowing what to do in exactly what situation.
Exactly. And you brought up a good point. He isn't the most physically gifted guy, whereas you have guys that we'll see later on the list who were like spectacular athletically. This guy was beating people with boxing fundamentals, boxing roughhouse tactics, small things that a lot of that can't be taught. He used to bolster his defense.
That's right.
And if you ever heard him talk, he knows his stuff. And he'll tell you, I'm not the most athletic guy, but I know how to negate someone's offense. And that's all you really need. And even in those fights that he mentioned versus like Roy Jones and Jermaine Taylor, he wasn't really hit cleanly that much. It was that he didn't return fire as accurately.
Right.
So that's why, or as often. So that's why he didn't win those fights. And also, he started to get old, but he was making guys half his age look pretty bad.
That's right.
So let's move on to the next guy that we have on the list. And this guy is a, I guess he was coming up when we were younger, but he is one of the greatest defensive fighters probably ever, and that's Pernell Whitaker. Pernell Whitaker hails from our home state of Virginia. Go VA. He was a master of making guys miss by being right in front of him. I mean, he would duck, slip, move, and he boxed in tight circles as well. And when he made you miss, he made you pay.
That's right.
That is something that, when I'm in the gym teaching fighters, is paramount. You can't just make a guy miss and he just turns around and keep working. You gotta make him miss, make him pay. He did that. A lot of people did not like that defensive style, but it worked great for him. And personally, I thought it was a lot of fun to watch. You got anything we want to add on Sweet Pea?
The guy just knew how to use his defense to set up his offense. You're talking about a guy who I always looked at as prototype Mayweather in the fact that make you miss, make you pay.
Yeah, he had a very excellent jab as well. He was laser accurate, and that helps when you're making guys swing at you with like 5-6 punch combos and they're missing, and then you tag them once with like a hard shot, and it's like, okay, I got you.
And keep in mind, your punches can be used as a form of defense as well. As soon as, especially if they're attacking you, like throwing a stiff counter jab or counter right or check hook, boom, keeps you off them.
Right. So he used his offense as his defense and his defense to win fights.
That's right.
Next up is someone who was always called a throwback fighter, like Bernard Hopkins. Unfortunately, these two guys never fought, which would have been a pretty cerebral, it would have been a good match. That guy is James Toney. James Toney also uses a version of the shell defense like Floyd Mayweather and sometimes Bernard Hopkins. But his was learned in Michigan, well, like Mayweather. And he was very adept at counter punching. He would roll off of several shots and come back with a couple of really good hard punches. And he would do it standing right in front of you. But he also, earlier in his career, had the footwork as well that if he needed to move, he could. But he would stand right in front of you and make you miss every shot and then make you pay for it.
Now, just don't think of old James Toney who had pot belly and was taking some loss, or even the PED thing back
in 2004.
Yeah. The guy knows what he's doing. He may not be one to constantly work on the physical fitness conditioning aspect as much as the other guys on the list. But trust me, the one thing he did do was spar and work on his technique. And that is just rolling. The punches would roll off the shoulder, off the gloves, catching it with each glove and then returning fire. He could probably hit you 10 times as you're throwing punches and never truly move his feet.
Yeah, I mean, it's a thing of beauty to watch. Like watching him fight Holyfield, his fight versus Vasily Jirov is a classic. If you've never seen it, I mean, both guys threw over 1,000 punches, I believe. It was a thing of beauty. His earlier fights in the early 90s, some of the late 80s as well, like the very late 80s, like 88, 89. Like I think that like when he first turned pro.
Right.
When he was young, slim at 160, they're great fights to watch because he's also very offensive. Like Rob said, he's punching with you. He had a great jab to set you up, and he was very adept at punching after you were done and spent. He would like wear you out. So that's why James Toney is on this list. Now the next guy on the list is someone who was known mostly for his offense because he was so dynamic and explosive, but his defense was very underrated. Guys were not hitting him. And that guy is Roy Jones Jr.
Now, you may question this decision of our top 5 defensive fighters, especially contemporary, when they have a Guillermo Rigondeaux or Erislandes Lara or
Andre Ward.
The reason
Lomachenko, these are our favorite guys.
And not only this, but it's a guy that is unorthodox, and people mistake his athleticism, his pure athleticism, to what carried him as a boxer, and that is just untrue.
Yeah, Roy Jones knew his stuff. Roy Jones was excellent with his punches. Roy Jones was excellent with his footwork. He was excellent with his range. He was excellent with his defense. He either move out of the way, he could block, he could parry, he could do all of those things. But he was so gifted at just getting out of the way that he was knocked down once versus Lou Del Valle, and then that was basically the hardest he had ever been hit up until, you know, the Tarver incident. And keep in mind, this guy went from 160 to heavyweight, making people look very bad.
Very bad.
So he was a defensive fighter as well. A lot of people don't want to like give him that credit, but we will. But Roy Jones was a great defensive fighter.
When you have that kind of athleticism, speed, explosiveness, offensive prowess, it kind of overshadows the small nuances in the boxing technique,
right?
That a lot of people are more so not overlooking, but they're in awe of. And I'm gonna be honest, I was one of those people that was in pure awe of Roy Jones, especially in his heyday.
Right. So there it is, guys. Our favorite 5 defensive fighters of the last 40 years. Also, Wilfred Benitez should get honorable mention as well, because that guy was a beast. He kind of reminded me of Pernell Whitaker as well. He was very, very slippery. There's several other guys, but thanks for watching this one. Make sure you like it. Share it with your friends. If you have any guys you want to add to your list, give us your list. Hit us up in the comments section. Let us know who your 5 favorite defensive fighters are. Hit us up on Facebook, Capital Combat, Google+, same name. We're now on Instagram, Capital of Combat. You can hit us up at capitalcombat@gmail.com. If you guys have any questions, hit us up. We'll put you in the combat mailbag as well. And we'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.
This is round 1 and you've already lost. They don't seem to see that everything we've done is come at a cost. My fists are on fire, I perform till I perspire. My demons are in a rage, keep thinking that it's a game. I kick rhyme, hurricane, I told them I don't play, I'm liquid.
Black Street Fighter.